Watson and I are preparing my fall 10-item capsule wardrobe, and we invite you to join us. Hello everyone, Jennifer L. Scott here, and welcome back to the Daily Connoisseur. It is one of my favorite times of year on the channel. I love this transition in particular, and today we are going to prepare our fall 10-item capsule wardrobes. If you are new to my channel and the whole 10-item wardrobe concept, it is a concept that I introduced in my first book, Lessons from Madame Chic. And I will leave my books linked down below. I highly encourage you to read them and immerse yourself in the world if you are interested in this subject. So this time of year, we need to put away summer, or at least prepare to, and get prepared for the upcoming season. And what I love most about the 10-item wardrobe is that it is a very thoughtful and contemplative process. Because I think most people approach dressing without much thought. And that's where all the problems come from. That's why we have closets full of clothes that we don't wear. That's why a lot of people have confusion about their true style. That's why a lot of people give up and just wear the same thing every day, even though they wish to dress in a certain way, okay? So this is the fun part, and even if you're not ready to put your summer wardrobe away, you still have a few weeks of it left, that's fine, but let's start thinking about what worked and what didn't, because that's going to refine your style and help you hone in on creating an even more beautiful and effective capsule wardrobe going forward. So let's have a look at my spring summer wardrobe, and I'm going to ask the following questions, and I would love for you to ask yourself the same about your own wardrobe, and feel free to share your answers down below. So did my wardrobe perform well overall? And I would say yes. And it's so fun doing this process because as the years go on, my wardrobes for me are just spot on. Like, I am so happy with how my spring summer wardrobe went. I wore everything. Like, that is really unheard of for me. Sometimes there's pieces in there that are more fantasy pieces that I don't actually get to. We're going to talk about that later when I give you the quiz. This summer, I really wore all of these pieces heavily, and I love that. I really feel like I dressed well, you know, all the time. I expressed my true style. I did get a lot of compliments from people out in the wild about my clothes, and that feels good. And it's not to say, oh, I'm dressing so well. I think when people compliment you, they just think that it all goes together with you and you're radiating something nice. And it's so nice when other people give compliments. I wore these pieces so much on a daily basis that a lot of them are heavily worn out. Some of them are still going strong. So I am, in my own time, going to look at every single piece, you know, with a really thoughtful eye and think, is this too worn out to appear next year? If so, I am going to take it out of my wardrobe. Some pieces will be maybes, like I'm not sure. So I will pack them away in the canvas bins, and next spring, if I pull it out, I'm going to know right away if it's just looking shabby and I just didn't want to get rid of it, or if it's ready for another season, okay? And you know I wear my blouses for seasons. I mean, this Joanne blouse, I can't count how many years I've had it. It still looks good. I am really happy with how my summer wardrobe performed. There was only one tweak that I really did make, which was the barrel jeans. I did make that tweak because I don't know, I tried it, like, I actually like the silhouette. Maybe it was the wash on those jeans, but I did tweak that to wear the wide leg jeans, and I think that those look much better on me. So that was the tweak that I made, and again, it got me closer to my true style. So definitely ask yourself, is there any piece in your summer wardrobe that you barely wore? Then you're going to ask yourself why. Why did you barely wear that piece? Was it uncomfortable? Did it not go with any of your other pieces? Was it too formal, too casual? Ask yourself why, and remember Don't beat yourself up over it. It's totally fine, because when you make mistakes in your wardrobe, it brings you closer to your true style. So finalize that with just saying, okay, is there anything here that is so worn out, I will not be wearing this next year? And if you heavily wear your 10-item wardrobe pieces like I do, you are going to have that. You are going to heavily wear your pieces. And I like that. I like the idea that I loved something so much that I wore it so much that it's now worn down. Okay. I think that for me, that's very satisfying, because it feels like I used the clothes to the fullest. So be honest with that. And then just, be honest. Is there anything I definitely do not want to bring back next summer? And then answer those questions, because your wardrobe is constantly giving you intel. You are getting information from your wardrobe all the time, but most people skim over it, but we're going to be thoughtful about our wardrobes to create our super capsule 10-item wardrobes. I have a question for you. What were the 3 most worn pieces that you wore this summer? Because those 3 pieces are going to tell you more about your style than anything trending online. I would say that my 3 pieces were definitely the marine layer smocked dress. I loved that dress. My quince white skirt. I was living in that white skirt. And the third one is challenging, because I wore so many of the dresses so often. But I would say practically, I wore this striped marine layer dress a lot at home. So what that's telling me about my style is that I do like comfortable, beautiful feminine clothes that I can move in a lot, and that are casual but yet look, slightly elevated. Okay, part 2 is going to be saying goodbye to summer. Now, I am pretending to say goodbye to summer because it's 90 degrees outside still, and I'm filming this in mid-August so that you'll have it on time. So I'm not actually putting summer away, but when it's time for you to put summer away, you're going to choose the exact pieces that you want to keep. It's okay to have some maybes in there, but it is time, when the time comes, to put everything away nicely, make sure it's, laundered and everything, and then fold it, and you can put it in a canvas bin. You could store it in space bags. You could put it in a separate closet. I would just get it away from the area of your closet that you go to every single day, because we are removing other seasons that are not applicable in order to dress our best. We don't need to see a sundress in the middle of October next to our fall clothes, because that just adds more things to think about, right? So it's good to just get it out and to put it away. And it's so fun next year when you pull this out and you can shop your own closet again and get excited about your clothes. Okay, now let's have a look at my fall wardrobe reveal. These are the pieces that I put away from last autumn, and we're going to go through them and see if I'm going to bring them back or if I've changed my mind. So I like to use these canvas bins. I'll link some down below or in the YouTube shopping tab. I love keeping my wardrobes all together like this because it's just really fun. And Watson's right here. Watson's gonna go through the bin with me. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You just got a haircut. Isn't it cute? I love you. Yes, I do. Okay, so Watson and I are going to go through this right now. And we're starting off with these black jeans from Quince. And I'm definitely going to bring these back. I can absolutely use black jeans in the autumn. So I'm really looking forward to bringing these back. And they're still looking good. They definitely need one of the rolling things like with for lint, but that's looking really good. Okay, so I have my Lily Silk olive blouse. I love these blouses. The reality is that I don't wear them on a daily basis, so this is not going to be in my core items. It's never cold enough really for me to wear these, and if it is, I will wear it. So you can absolutely pull things from your special occasion wear to wear as core items. But in general, I would remember that I'd have these in my core items and I wouldn't wear them as much, which indicates to me that I'm going to put this in my special occasion. And maybe if I go to like, a nice afternoon lunch and it's chilly, I'd wear it, but I'm not gonna wear this on a daily basis. But I love these silk blouses. So that is going, but not in my core items. This also is not a core item skirt. This is a sweater skirt, and I believe this one is Lily Silk, yes. And I can absolutely use this on dressier days, and we'll see. I mean, maybe I'll put it in my core items. I don't know, I'm gonna play around with it, but this is definitely, you know, just like a nice wool cashmere skirt that I can wear for dressy occasions, and that's absolutely gonna come back. Oh, I have the Anthropology dress. This is the Somerset dress in corduroy. I'm already seeing lots of like frays and threads sticking out and everything, and I love this dress so much, but it is pilling a lot, and you know, it's just looking a little bit shabby. So I'm not gonna put this in my core items. I think I'm going to donate this one. But I love that silhouette of the Somerset dress. And yeah, it was one of those ones where I was on the fence about like, is this too worn or should I put it back in my wardrobe? I'm going to donate this one, but I loved it while I wore it. Here we have the Madewell roughly olive blouse, and this is absolutely coming back. It still looks really good. I absolutely love the color olive, especially in the autumn. And I think that this is going to be great with jeans. It could go with my black jeans or any darker jean that I have. I love this silhouette. It's like very similar to the Doen blouse with that beautiful romantic ruffle collar. Speaking of the Doen blouse, I have this here. I've had these blouses for years. This is the black one. It still looks really good. It needs a good steam, but it looks really good. I have found an even more budget than the Madewell one if you like this silhouette, and I'm going to share it as soon as it comes in, and you'll see that this autumn. But I just wanted to show you this. I love Doen. It's very, very nice, beautiful brand. What are you eating, Watson? Okay, I have one more piece from Doen, and this, oh my gosh, this is that dress that I call it the Samantha dress because it reminds me of Samantha's school dress, but this is from Doen, and it's that button-down check dress, and I'm gonna keep this. I mean, I've had this for so many years. It is like the perfect fall dress. I don't know if they're doing this one anymore. I'll try to find similar ones and link it down below, but absolutely this is coming back. I love this dress so much. It just is like Little House on the Prairie chic, or it reminds me of Samantha, and I love this dress. So this is absolutely coming back. That's the thing is, you know, some of these clothes are so high quality, they last for years. And then the last thing I have here is this Lucky Brand dress. I have a lot of brown in my fall wardrobe, which I do love. And this was the one, I wore this so much last autumn, last summer. And so I think it's looking good. I remember there was one like stain on it that I couldn't fully get out, but I think it's looking good. I will probably wear this a lot in the transition of like September, you know, when it's still quite hot outside, because it looks autumnal, but it is quite summery in texture. So that is what I have for my fall 10-item wardrobe. And now I can sit down and think about what I'd like to add to it to make it well-rounded. Okay, I made myself a cup of tea for this next portion of the chat, and I invite you to do so too. So now we're going to talk about the fall fantasy versus reality, and I created a quiz for you. But before we do that, I want to give you a list of 5 questions that's going to help you further refine whether or not you keep the items that you saved from last autumn, okay? Because we're not just asking ourselves, does this still fit my body? Dressing is about more than that. Like if it still fits, that's great. But is this still representative of who we are? Is this speaking to our true style? Okay, so I have a few questions that's going to help you out. So I hope you have your cup of tea, and you can get out your journal too. Let me have a sip of my tea actually. Okay, I have my list here. So here are the questions that I want you to go through when you are assessing the clothes that you already have, whether or not you're going to keep them or donate them. The first question is, am I excited to wear this again? And you will know. I felt excitement when I pulled out some of these pieces, like a lot of excitement. So that's how you know that it should definitely come back. Question 2, does this still fit in my life? Does it still work for you? Think about your life and what your actual days look like, okay? Number 3, is it in good condition? And again, like when I'm even putting away summer, I know that these pieces, some of them were worn to death. They're not coming back. They're not in good condition. And you can just check for things like stains, pilling, missing buttons. You know, even when you're assessing things like your shoes, are they too worn? Do you need to get rid of them? You know, and you can create a maintenance list and repair list if necessary. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of these items. It just means that they do need some attention. And the 4th question is, would I buy this again today? If you saw it hanging in the shop, would you buy it again? So that'll help you. And then the 5th question is, does this work with the rest of my wardrobe? So, you know, when we're building the 10-item wardrobe, all of the pieces for the most part should be in harmony with each other. If you have this one piece that just doesn't fit with anything else and you have to buy things to make the piece work, think about that and ask yourself what's going on there, you know, because that might give you clues as to what's working and what's not working. Okay, time for my fall fantasy versus fall reality quiz. Okay, so I've developed this quiz because there is that tension, especially this time of year, where we have the fantasy of how we want to dress, but the reality of our lives is very different. Maybe you live in a very hot climate and it is not leaf peeping weather, okay? Or maybe your days are spent at home with the kids or in the playground in the hot sun, and it's not, that's the reality of your life, but you want to dress as if you are, you know, driving by red barns in Vermont while the leaves are falling, okay? That's the fantasy. So we don't want to get rid of the fantasy. We still want to incorporate romance in our wardrobe and in our life, but we want to address the realities of our wardrobe. And I think when we get clear about this, this is going to help us with our true style. And you will hopefully find a nice marriage between the two of dressing for the life you actually have while incorporating some of those fantasy elements that you want and desire. Okay, so as I give you each question, I invite you to pause the video and you can write down your answers in a journal. You could write them in the comment section, or you could just keep them mentally in your head. Okay, so here we go. All right, question number 1. Where will you actually spend most of your time this fall? Where are you going to spend it? Because I think in our minds, we think, oh, pumpkin patches and hay rides and these things. We might do these things this fall, but where are we spending most of our time? Okay. So for me, it is home, errands, church, you know, a few social events, a few like local travel events. I have like, you know, some outdoor activities, but mainly working from home, and that's where I typically am. Okay. So I want you to ask yourself, does the wardrobe you're building actually serve those activities? Okay. And I think a lot of people watching this might work from home, or you're stay-at-home moms, or maybe you don't. Maybe you work outside of the home. Like maybe you work in an office or in a hospital and you wear scrubs or whatever it is. So think about your specific life circumstance and where you are actually spending most of your time this fall. Okay. Question number 2, who is your fall fantasy self? Let's have fun with this. I want you to be as truthful, as creative as possible. Who is this person? Okay, in the fantasy world. Don't think about what you actually have to do. Okay, let's go into the fantasy realm. I wrote a few things. Maybe she is wandering through an English village. Maybe she's wearing tweed and riding boots. Maybe your fantasy self is drinking tea beside a roaring fire, walking through piles of autumn leaves. Maybe she's attending concerts in velvet dresses and spending weekends at a country estate. So then ask yourself, what does this fall fantasy self wear? What does she wear to all of these things? And we're trying here to identify the aesthetic without judgment or limitations, okay? So forget that you have maybe young kids for a second. Just forget that you have all these other responsibilities. What does the fall fantasy self want to wear, all right? Like, for example, Sherlock Holmes capes. That's what my fall fantasy self wants to wear. Okay, so pause the video and answer your questions. Question number 3. What does your real fall self actually wear? And I want you to compare the fantasy here with everyday life. So what do you genuinely need for Monday morning, for example, for Wednesday afternoon, for Saturday errands, for Sunday at church, for dinner out, for walking the dog, for working at home? What do you actually need to wear for these things, okay? So the goal here is not to eliminate the fantasy, it's to translate the fantasy. So for example, if your fantasy is a big heavy wool sweater, but it's still hot outside and you have to walk the dog, you might go for a lightweight knit that looks like the aesthetic of a big wool sweater. Or for example, instead of heavy boots, you might go for loafers. Instead of a wool blazer with gold buttons, you might go for a lightweight jacket. So you can still have the elements of your fantasy self, but translated for your actual daily life. So we're not trying to abandon the fantasy. We're trying to adapt it to our reality. Okay, question number 4. What did you actually wear last fall? So you're going to ask yourself a few questions. What were your most worn pieces? Which shoes did you constantly reach for? Which jacket did you wear? And what stayed untouched? And I definitely find that my fantasy self, like wanting to wear a certain thing every day, is usually the reason why something remains untouched. Like, for example, that gorgeous olive lily silk blouse. I love that blouse. That's in my fantasy life because it didn't quite translate for my everyday life. The way that I amended this was that I put this in my special occasion extras. And I can absolutely see myself going out for an autumnal lunch, maybe outside, like while it's still lovely, wearing that beautiful silk blouse with some riding boots and some jeans or something like that, you know, with a friend. I could totally see that. So past behavior is often a better predictor of wardrobe needs than current trends. So that's going to tell you what you need if you think about and analyze what you did last year. And question number 5, what is actually on your calendar this fall? Coming up soon, I hope that you're subscribed to the channel, but I will be doing my fall planning video, and we're going to really be thoughtful about our planning, and I love that series, so I hope that you'll watch. But we're going to be looking ahead at September, October, and November here, and I want you to think about everyday life. I want you to think about work, dinners, travel, holidays, school activities, special occasions, outdoor activities. Do you have anything really special, like a speaking event, something like that? So I want you to look at your schedule and see what is on your calendar. And then you have to ask yourself, what percentage of my wardrobe should serve each part of my life? Okay, so if you have a life that requires you to dress up on occasion, like for example, I love going to the theater. I have a few events planned this autumn. I always have something going on. So I definitely need some special occasion extras that are really appropriate for the theater. Okay, that's an example, but that doesn't need to be a large majority of my wardrobe. It's a very small percentage of my wardrobe. So if you really think about this truth, okay, about what you actually do, you may discover that you've been shopping for the 10% the majority of the time instead of the 90% of what you actually do, okay? And so many of us do this. We're so excited about the special occasions or the fun like more fantasy things that we do, that's what is fun to shop for. But what about the everyday life, the everyday needs, okay? Question number 6, what is fall actually like where you live? Some of you are blessed to live in beautiful 4 seasons, and fall might be quintessential autumn for you, like chilly air, fall leaves, you know. For a large majority of people, that's not the case. It's certainly not the case for me here in Southern California, okay? It's still summery weather all the way practically until winter. So fall fashion marketing often gives us wool coats, tall boots, thick sweaters, scarves, and layers, but what will the weather actually be? So you can ask yourself, when will I realistically wear sweaters, okay? Do I need a heavy coat? How many boot days will I actually have? Would loafers and ballet flats make more sense for my climate? Do I need transitional pieces? And I find that living in California, yes, I need transitional pieces. It's like that Lucky Brand dress that looks like autumn, but it's essentially a summer dress. It's still hot outside, you know? So you can dress for the mood of fall without dressing for imaginary weather. And that's where it comes in, where you find pieces where you love the colors, you love the textures. I have, at the time of filming this right here, I don't have it with me yet, but I did pre-order the Hill House dress. That is the Samantha dress based on her school dress. And that's coming in. And that is a perfect example because that is a summery feel dress. Like it's light, it is practically sleeveless. And I just know I'm gonna love this dress. And it is good for hot weather, but it looks like autumn to me. And that's what I have to do living here in Southern California. And then if it does get chilly, I can pair it with a chunky sweater or something like that. And we're good to go, right? So you can use things like autumnal colors. You can use texture, accessories, deeper florals, lightweight knits. You could use structured shoes. And in your handbags and jewelry, you can convey autumn without having to dress for non-existent weather, basically. Question 7, and let me know, are you enjoying this? Let me know in the comments below because I've never done this before, but I want to just do these deep dives in the wardrobe, and I think that it really helps people to think like this. So here's question 7. What fall purchase are you most tempted by? Okay, and this is funny because we usually all have something. Now, the fall purchase I was most tempted by was what I did pre-order, which was the Samantha Hill House dress. I already knew that that was just going to fit seamlessly into my wardrobe, but you can ask yourself these questions. So can you immediately name 3 places that you would wear it to? Yes, and yes for me. Can I create at least 3 outfits with pieces that I already own? This is crucial. So when you are shopping for something new, can you already work it seamlessly into your wardrobe, or you're going to need to buy things to make it work, okay? Because we don't want to be doing that too much. Okay, and then question 8 is, what does your real fall self actually need? And you're going to reverse this question. So the fantasy self might want a fabulous new tweed coat, okay? But your real self might need a lightweight cardigan that works with my 5 existing dresses, okay? Your fantasy self might want tall suede boots, but your reality self might need comfortable loafers. So I think just when we get really honest with ourselves, we can make smarter choices, and then these things won't be bought and then just sit in the closet because we never could actually wear them. Sometimes the fantasy self will pass the test. Like sometimes if you want a beautiful tweed coat and you are due for a coat, I get it. You know what I mean? Like we're not strictly utilitarian here, but it's just good to ask ourselves what we're actually going to wear. Okay, so with your quiz results, what did you learn from this? Did you have any insights about it? So is your wardrobe dressing your real life or your imaginary life? So I want you to ask yourself, the wardrobes that you have, are they dressing mostly reality? If that's the case, you can focus on editing, maintaining, and replacing rather than building, because it's a very solid, practical wardrobe, right? Do you have a beautiful balance between the two? If so, you are winning at this, okay? You are winning at the nice, lovely balance between reality and fantasy. So this is probably the sweet spot, okay? Or do you have mostly fantasy in your wardrobe? And that's a lot of the people who end up only wearing, like the exercise clothes every day that want to get out of that trap, okay? Those people, a lot of them are dressing mostly for fantasy. Like they have the clothes, but they're not finding themselves wearing it, okay? So your closet may be dressing for a life that you're not actually living. And before buying anything new, you can consider what your everyday life genuinely requires. But I want you to remember this, we all need a little fantasy, so this isn't bad, okay? And sometimes, to be very frank with you, sometimes you just need to push yourself to wear the fantasy. Maybe just wear it. Maybe that's who you are. Maybe you do wear elevated pieces to the park, okay? There's nothing wrong with that either. So ultimately, after all is said and done, I want you to dress for your real life, but leave room for romance, leave room for fantasy. And I have so much more to say on this. This could have been an hour-long video, and it practically was, I think. So I'm going to close it down now, but we're going to talk about fall wardrobe this year. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thank you so much for joining me here on The Daily Connoisseur, and I hope that you keep calm and remain classy, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.